Do you struggle with self-care because it feels like you're being selfish? Or maybe you're really good at the basics of self-care, food, clothing, shelter, but it still feels like something's missing. If so, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Sandra Roberts, a licensed clinical professional counselor, and today we're talking about self-care, the many facets of self-care, and how it's very different from selfishness. So, what is self-care? It's not being selfish. It's not ignoring the needs of others. And although it can mean putting yourself first sometimes, it doesn't always mean that. What it is taking care of your needs so that you have the energy and ability to live, to give, to help others, to manage difficult times, and to enjoy life. So, what is self care? It's so much more than food, clothing, shelter, and hygiene. There are many layers and facets of self care. They can include physical self care, which are the food, clothing, shelter, and hygiene, and even more, but also emotional self care, spiritual self care, professional self care, and social self care. And we don't always consider those, and those can feel like the pieces that are missing, even if you're doing a good job of the physical self care. So let's start with physical self care. It's not just food, but nutritious food. We want to make sure our body's getting all the nutrients that it needs and the water it needs. And also, sometimes it's nice to just be able to get something that's really tasting good too. Um, Physical self care also involves exercise and physical activities that you enjoy. Exercise can mean someone might enjoy like weightlifting, someone might hate weightlifting. Find an exercise you enjoy or that serves the purposes that your body needs for that, and then engage in that on a regular basis. And it's more than just getting dressed in ways that other people think are appropriate for where you are. It's also about wearing clothes that feel good in a physical way, but also in an emotional way. So wearing colors you like, fabrics, textures, styles that you like. Make sure your clothes are things that you enjoy wearing. Healthcare is also a very important need in self-care. That can be dental health care, vision care, seeing a medical doctor, a chiropractor. It can mean having tests done periodically. It also can mean just making sure that you're taking care of yourself physically in a way to continue your good health with the nutrition, with the exercise, with things like that, and taking care of wounds when you get them, things like that. Self care also, physical self care also involves getting good, solid, and adequate sleep. Not everybody needs the exact same amount of sleep. Some people need a little less, a little more. Where do you feel good? Test yourself a few nights in a row when you don't have to get up really early the next morning. Stay up as late as you can. Check the time before you go to bed. Staying up late allows you to fall asleep when you get into bed. Fall asleep as soon as you get into bed. And then see what time you naturally wake up in the morning and feel like you're ready to get out of bed. Do that a couple different times and see how much sleep you need on average, and then schedule enough time to make sure you're getting that most of the time. Emotional self care is also important. It's important to be able, first of all, to know what you're feeling. And we do that by understanding what our body's telling us we feel. Our bodies and our emotions are connected. And so, for example, you might be sad if you notice your eyes are wet and your throat is tight. That could indicate you're sad. When you're laughing, that can indicate joy or happiness. Fear can be a knot in the pit of your stomach or goosebumps or feeling cold. Be aware of what you're feeling. Journal out what you feel. Talk to people about how you feel. Don't just keep your feelings inside. Resolve problems and concerns. This doesn't mean that every feeling you have you must journal or you must tell someone about. We go through a series of multiple emotions and feelings and thoughts every single day, but the ones that are kind of big or that you're struggling with or that you just find you want to share for joyful reasons or even for problem solving ability, share those with someone you trust. And remember that everyone you trust, you're trusting everyone they trust as well, whether you realize it or not. So make sure if you're talking to someone about something that they aren't someone who's going to gossip or share that with others. You might want to watch our video on boundaries about who's in a circle you can trust and not. Um, Going to therapy if you need therapy, if you have some problems you want to talk through and you need a little bit more help. For example, if you're going through grief that's lasted longer than you think it should, or if you're depressed in a way that is keeping you from getting out of bed or achieving the things you want to do. If you've lost interest in daily life, that's another sign of depression. You might need therapy for those things. If you're struggling with a relationship, with trauma from your past, those are all things that a good therapist would be able to help you work through. And it's pretty important to do that for your emotional self-care. Laughter is some of the best medicine there is. That old saying is so true. Find some things to laugh at, whether it's a movie that's your go-to movie when you need a good laugh, or spending time with friends where somehow the conversation at some point in the afternoon or evening turns into something that's funny and everybody's laughing together. That's really important too. Another important thing you can do for emotional self-care is to create a healing space in your home. If you have a whole room that's a spare room that you can turn into healing space, great. If not, a corner will do with a nice, comfortable chair, whether that's a beanbag chair, whether it's a recliner, or just a chair that you love, or even some cushions piled up in the corner. Create that healing space. The healing space is somewhere you're going to go when you're struggling emotionally, when you need to think something through, when you just need kind of a grown up time out from everything that's going on with some peace and quiet. Maybe after a long day's work, you need 20 minutes there just to kind of unwind. So your healing space should be comfortable to sit in or lounge in. And it's good to have a like a little treasure box or a beautiful little basket of things that you enjoy doing that are relaxing, like crossword puzzles or a good book you like to read, a jigsaw puzzle with a little table to do it on. You can have some tea bags there that are just lovely flavored tea bags that make you feel relaxed and feel good. You could have a chocolate bar in there that you can break a piece off of and have to help you feel better. Whatever it is that you enjoy that helps you to relax, craft project, anything, put in that little box or basket. Decorate it up if you want. Make it look like a good place for you. And then keep things there that make you feel good, that make you feel relaxed and help you to unwind. Another thing is to do an emotional check-in every day. Like a couple times a day, just ask yourself, what am I feeling? Emotions become difficult when we kind of ignore them because we don't have time for them, and they just build and build and build, and pretty soon we have a lot of emotions kind of feeling like they're jammed together and it's hard to know what we're really feeling. But if you check in with yourself a couple of times a day, what am I feeling? What's going on in my life? Why am I feeling this right now? It can really help because you can be aware of, I've got some anxiety building up right now. I'm not sure what that's about. What's been happening that triggered that? Or, I'm really sad right now because someone just walked in and told me something that was heartbreaking for them, and I feel compassion for them. Or it could be, I'm angry because I have to work over tonight and it was my night off. Something like that. What are you feeling and why? Go back to the reason why, see if there's something you can do to kind of mitigate those difficult feelings or at least pull them apart and know what you're feeling. And then another thing for emotional self-care is to have an organized and tidy living space. This doesn't mean perfection. It means when you need something, you can lay your hands on it. You know where it is, or basically where it is. It means you've got clean clothes to wear in the morning. You've got a bed that you can sleep in. You've got a healing space that's not cluttered with things that you just throw on top of it. So having an organized space also reduces things like looking for your car keys in the morning and things like that. We're going to have one on ADHD in adults coming up soon, a video on that. So come back and watch that one if you struggle with getting organized and if you struggle with ADHD. And the next layer of self-care is spiritual self-care. We often don't think about this, but it's very important. We aren't just bodies, we have a spirit, we have a soul, and taking care of that is as important as taking care of our emotions, as taking care of our physical body. So some ways that you can practice good spiritual self-care, first of all, is prayer. Connecting with your creator on a daily basis is incredibly important. It allows us to acknowledge that spiritual part of us. It allows us to acknowledge that there's someone out there, God, who is bigger than we are and bigger than our problems are, who loves us and hears us. That is amazing self-care, and that is amazing to be able to access God in that way. It's a beautiful thing. Meditation is another really positive way to practice self-care. And in meditation, what I'm talking about is on God's Word. Um, have some favorite passages for when you're stressed, for when you're sad, for when something's going on, for when you just need to be still. The Bible tells us, be still and know that I am God. In doing that, we're meditating on God. We're thinking on God. We're considering who He is. We're drawing closer to Him. That is very powerful in our self-care for our spirit. Fellowship with other believers is incredibly important as well. Connecting with people who have similar values and beliefs really encourages us to grow in our own values and beliefs. And it feels more relaxing, and you don't have to worry as much about if you say something that they're going to disagree with you on, is it going to be a fight? You can just enjoy time with them. Worship services in church are also very important. Church doesn't make you a Christian. You're a Christian because of your relationship with God, and that's what saves you, is your understanding of who Jesus is. But worship services draw us into a community of worship to God together, and that is powerful. And also, when we attend and are part of a church, it helps us to spread what we believe around to other people, to help other people, to live out our values and beliefs with other fellow believers. That is powerful and amazing. Bible reading is also important. We need to do this more than just on Sunday mornings in Sunday school or church. We need to connect with God's Word at home on our own. We need to be reading. If you like a steady reading plan, there are great Bible apps out there. Just two of the ones that pop into my head are YouVersion and Bible Gateway, both really great. They also have just a daily verse that pops up on the screen. Maybe you want a reading plan. You want to go through the Bible in a year, or you want to read a book at a time. You just want to start at the beginning of the Bible and go to the end. Whatever that looks like for you, that's what you do. You read that, you study on that, and you learn and you grow in that way in your spiritual self. As odd as this seems, green time is very important spiritual self-care. So what is green time? Green time is being outside in the green areas of life, right? With the trees and the grass, all green things and beautiful colors that God's created, and the plants that He's created, um, fresh air, sunshine when it's there. Sometimes it's cloudy and overcast and the sun isn't there so much, but being outside still gives us this. And I'm telling you, I'm not really an outdoor person, but I notice if I haven't had enough green time. And I'm sure that all of us do. We're not always aware of what that feeling is, though. There's something about that. And don't discount going out when it's raining or been raining. There's something about the beautiful smell in the air after the rain has come down and hit the dust. It releases these particles into the air that just smell so beautiful. Um, and there's something to be said for working in the soil, planting, mowing, things like that. Digging up in the soil to plant flowers or vegetables or fruits releases these particles that can help with depression. So remember that as well. Music is another thing to help overcome problems in life. Music touches our soul. Now, you want to be careful what kind of music you're listening to. And it doesn't matter what the rhythm is. Rhythm of music is very good for our brains, right? It helps us with learning and doing things and movement, and that's all beautiful. But when we're talking about spiritual self-care, listen to music that touches your soul, that helps you to connect with God even more. And then, of course, as we mentioned before, being still. Be still for a bit. Just sit quietly. Allow your mind to turn toward God. Allow your mind to turn towards things that you want to think on and how you want to grow and learn. And there's professional self-care. We often think about our careers, but not how we're getting from where we are to where we want to be. No matter what your profession is, it's good to continue to learn. Whether you're a doctor, a janitor, whether you are someone who operates drones, or you are an artist, or a chef, or you are a gardener, whatever it is, keep learning about your process, about what you do and how to get better at it and how to enjoy it more. Feel the importance of what you're doing and the need to learn and grow. Join communities of people who do the same thing you do. Make out a roadmap to your career success. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? If you're right where you want to be and you don't want to advance anymore, that's perfectly fine, but keep growing and learning. Take vacations. If you love what you do, take a vacation so you can continue to love what you do. If you hate what you do, take a vacation so you can come back and not hate it so much. Also, if you really hate what you do, start looking at if you can change that or if you want to. But vacations are very important. And of course, there's different kinds of vacations. There are staycations where you just stay home and relax and enjoy, or you get some projects done that you wanted to do. There are vacations going places that are filled with activity and challenges like mountain climbing or, you know, learning to fly or parasailing or whatever. And then there are vacations where you go sit on the beach with a book. What is your vacation style and what vacation do you need now? Also, develop professional relationships with others in your field, with people who have gone before where you are that you want to get to, as well as people coming up to where you are so that you can kind of mentor them and help them if they're looking for that. Keep your resume updated for your professional care. You never know when you're going to need it. We never know when an opportunity is going to come up. You may not even be looking for an opportunity, but if one comes up, you'd like to have your resume ready to go rather than having to go home and quickly fix it and then get it out to someone. Also, because we never know what's going to happen with any company we're in at the moment. Even if you're self-employed, keep your resume up to date. You may get an opportunity for a good contract with someone who would want to see your resume and that could help your business grow. Always having it on hand, always adding in what you're doing, also allows you to see your own growth or the lack of your own growth. If you haven't updated your resume in 6 months because you haven't had anything to put on it, you might want to review it and see where you can make it grow. If you have a lot that you haven't added to it, it might be time to add that. Another thing is to avoid burnout, and that can be done by setting good boundaries, even in business. If you've got too much going on at your job, ask for help. If it's an overwhelming place and you're starting to dread work that you used to enjoy, talk to your supervisor, or if you're in charge, um, start looking at possibilities of things you can delegate to others. Burnout can absolutely ruin your career if you don't address it. And it's just a miserable way to have to get up and dread going to work because you're burned out. What are the things you like? What are the things you don't? Grow in those things and delegate some others if you can. And like with your home, at work, you need a comfortable, organized, and tidy workspace. That doesn't mean you're probably going to get a healing space at work, but it does mean knowing where your supplies are, keeping your projects organized, your paperwork organized, your supplies organized. Um, Whatever that is, keep it tidy and organized. Keep a calendar, keep your time on it. Your professional self care is as important as other areas because we usually spend, if you work full time, usually about a third of your day is at work. Make that as good as possible. Social self-care is also extremely important. There are so many layers here, but it adds so much richness to our lives to have good social self-care. The first layer of that, of course, is family. And we have our nuclear family that lives in our home with us. If you live alone, you still probably have some family around somewhere, some extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, parents, somewhere, someone. We can also have really close friendships, reaching out to them, having family dinners together with your nuclear family. It's important to kind of put away those devices for a time, have some time of actual conversation, a family game night where you're laughing together, going out into community events and doing something with your family members and taking turns on who gets to pick things so everyone gets a chance to enjoy. Talking about deeper things with your family, things like your faith and things like your hopes for the future and little things like what's your favorite show or song this week and things like that. Really working on knowing one another and stepping into each other's worlds. There's something deeply connecting about family, and when we nurture those relationships, it is so powerful in our lives and in our self-care. The same thing with friendships. Stepping into those friendships and reaching out. If we wait for everybody to contact us, we might feel really alone for a long time. So make sure you're reaching out to other people. Have a monthly dinner and rotate what friend has it or what family member has it. You can do this with friends or family members or a combination. And just get together, have a meal together, no devices, sit down, enjoy one another, and have good time and connect. Community events are also very important, whether it's going to the farmer's market or to a fair or a festival or a play or a school event or little league games, whatever that is, be there, connect with other people, get into your community, get involved. Volunteering is a huge thing to do also. Volunteer at some community places that are not for profits or the animal shelters, things like that, where you can get involved. You know what's going on in your community, and you can meet new people there who are like minded, but also connecting with people and giving back to the community that gives to all of us. Neighbors are also really important. In the last few decades, our country has really gotten away, it seems like, from really knowing our neighbors. We might see them in waves sometimes, but we don't have the relationships with them we used to. It seems like, I think for some people, we don't really need them as much because we have phones and we have so much travel that we can do now and cars and things like that. But we still need our neighbors, and it's still really important to have people nearby that you can just say hi to. Host a barbecue in your backyard for some neighbors. Get to know one another, talk with them, and reach out more and make connections. This can help our social self care. And when we're connected socially, it helps us to feel better. You don't want to do this to the point of burnout, though. So make sure that you're connecting at a level that feels right for you and maybe just a little bit beyond so that you can grow. But keep good boundaries within this because boundaries are also very important. Make sure you're not getting kind of manipulated into doing things you don't want to. Watch our boundaries video for more information on setting healthy boundaries and having good relationships. So, as Walt Disney once said, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. We can talk all day about self-care and how important it is. We can talk about different ways to do it and different things to do, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change until you start taking action. So, what actions can you take today to begin proper self-care? And leave us a comment about that, about what actions you're going to take, what self-care you think you might initiate, where your strength is, where your weakness is. Give some ideas to other viewers about what your self-care is going to be like or how what you're going to add to it. So, we talked at the beginning about the difference between self-care and selfishness. Don't feel guilty for self-care. Guilt is for when you've done something wrong. It's not because you're doing something right for you. That's the first thing I want you to know. Self-care is concern for the needs of yourself and others, not either or. It's both and. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything for you and everything for yourself all the time. You don't have to practice every type of self-care every single day and have it just become like more things on your list you've got to do, but just start slowly adding in new self-care. Make sure you're feeling good. If you find yourself being grumpy or tired or burned out or irritable more often than usual, look at where your self-care is. What do you need? Do you need some friend time? Some alone time? What do you need? Remember, it's about you and others. We can feel really good when we do things for other people. That is the bonus of it, is that we don't even have to tell them we've done something to feel good about doing something. What are some things you can do for others? Because that's positive, it's not selfishness, and when you do for you and others, it's a good thing. Remember, it's positive care for you to relax, grow, and manage life. That's what self care is. And it puts more into you instead of taking out. You have to pour into yourself, which we get from God, in order to be able to pour out to other people. We have to keep going back to God to get filled up so we have something to give others. Selfishness, on the other hand, is being indifferent to the needs of others. It's all about you with no concern for others, and there's never enough. So, in summary, what we want to say is self care is not selfishness. It is taking care of you for your health, mood, effectiveness, and ability to care for others. And go to God to get refilled first. Then you have enough to pour out to others. Thank you for joining us today for Self Care, It's Not Selfishness, on Faithful Healing Journeys. I hope you'll look for our other videos. And like I said, drop us a comment about what new self care you're going to try or what's been the biggest change in your self care that's helped you in the past. I hope you have a wonderful week and join us again. Thank you.